Yo, this is my M4. As you know, I keep it in my bedroom, and as you can see, my walls are pink. Not my idea. Yeah, beautiful black tactical semi-auto shotgun hanging on a pink wall. Isn't that beautiful? The reason why I'm showing you this is because this rack I have behind it is a Ridgeback rack. I don't know what's going on with that company, if they're still in business or anything. I don't know, but I got it from them, and I really love my Ridgeback rack. So it really ain't set up for this Benelli M4. Since this is, to me, the daddy of semi-auto shotguns, I'm going to make it fit this shotgun right. Right now it's just sitting on there, resting on this pin, which is fine, that's fine. But as you can see, this part here with the threads on it's supposed to be coming through the trigger guard, and it's not. I have the resting pin coming through the trigger guard, so I have to cut that resting pin off and probably move it over here somewhere. Now it probably ain't going to line up with the rack perfectly, because this rack was designed for a Mossberg 930, which is an awesome shotgun. If you can't afford an M4, check out the Mossberg 930. They're friggin' sweet. I had one of them. The only thing, I put a side saddle on it, and it was like I threw the thing in the reverse. It just went crazy. It doesn't like side saddles. But they do have side saddles, not to get off the subject. Instead of mounting on the side and squeezing the receiver, Mesa, I think that's how you pronounce their name, makes one that mounts on the top. So it screws to the top and then has a side saddle, comes off to the side. I would recommend that if you have a 930 or any shotgun. You shouldn't put any stress on the receiver. Anyway, what we're going to do, this is going to be a little welding project. And if you guys don't know how to weld, get yourself a welder. They're not a lot of money. Okay, I got a little Lincoln one from Home Depot. It's only like $200. You don't have to be a good welder to be able to weld, because it's amazing what you can do with a grinder. Your grinder will take all your mistakes away, and it'll make it look like you got it from the factory, whatever you're working on. If you're a really good welder, you can grind a lot less. You know, that's the only advantage of being a real good welder. There's a lot less grinding. I got the Ridgeback rack right here, C-clamped down securely, because this post right here, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, I have to chop that off. But when I chop it off, I have to chop it down as low as I can, but without going too low into the base of the Ridgeback rack. So I gotta chop it off and maybe leave it up about 1/16 of an inch. Then I will grind it down flush and smooth with the base, and then we will relocate this peg wherever it needs to go. But I don't know where it's going to have to go until I take this peg off first. So let's get the peg off, grind that smooth, then lay the gun on top, then we'll see where we have to put the peg. This video is really about, believe it or not, showing you how to use a welder. This is just a little home welder, as you see. That's Lincoln Electric. Lincoln Electric probably makes some of the best welders there is. Miller makes awesome welders. There's a couple of them. Now, of course, this ain't a commercial welder. It's just a little 110 straight electric welder. Straight electric means it does not need gas mixture to weld. But on the other hand, welders with a gas mixture always weld a lot nicer, because when the gas mixes with the current, it lays the weld down nice and flat, so you get a nicer looking weld, which means no grinding probably if you're a good welder at all. But this is straight electric, so it doesn't lay down a perfect weld, so you have to grind to make it look good. But it works. It does a good job. And you got to make sure you have the right wire. That's a must. Okay? Alright, so let's get the grinder out. I'm going to get my 4-inch grinder. I have a Metabo. I'm going to take the grinding wheel off, and I'm going to put on a cut wheel. This is the grinding wheel. But as you can see, the problem is it's fat. So I got to put a cut wheel on there. So what I do, this is a Metabo. These are probably the best grinders you can buy. Rigid makes good ones too. What I'll do is push this button in, hopefully, and This will loosen up. Okay, as you can see, the wheel's thick, so it's not good for cutting. It's good for grinding. I had to go find a friggin' cut wheel. I should have a million of them over here. Thanks to American Built. I'm not American Built, right? Christ. Cornell Steel. I happened to find one of these in my tool bag. See how nice and thin that is? That is a cut wheel. Put the cut wheel on. Put this back on. Your locking nut. Try it again, dork. Fucking with guns too long. You don't know how to do anything anymore. Okay, like that. And then push the button in at the same time. Okay. Now I should be able to cut that post right off in seconds. Alright, now I have electrical current. Very good. Okay, so what we're going to do is cut this post off. And what I'm going to do is just look how it's going to go. I got to make sure I don't hit this. So, best way to go is this way. Now if I scratch it up all around here, paint's going to come off, doesn't matter. I'm spray painting this whole friggin' thing over. That's alright, so it doesn't matter. Alright, make sure this sucker's nice and tight. Don't spin off and hit me. And start cutting. Okay, that rolled off, but you know what? It's very, very, very hot, so I'm not going to touch that. Now this, like I said, it's about, I did pretty good because it's only, it's not even a 1/16 too high. So all I got to do is grind this down flat, all the way flat till it's flush with the base. As soon as I zoom up, it's ground all the way to the base, nice and flush, like it was never even there. Alright, and then we have to move that peg somewhere else. Before I even lay the gun on there, it's still coarse and jagged. I'm going to put a piece of tape over it so I don't scratch my gun, and then we're going to see where the gun's going to fall. But like I said, this really isn't about the gun, this video. It's about to show you how to do some light fabricating. You know what I'm saying? This is fabricating. I mean, we're not going by blueprints, and it's not real difficult, but this is definitely a form of it. And it's good to know. And anybody can do it. It's very simple. You could do it just by watching this video. Oh, that's going to line up perfect. Alright, with that. I want to get that dead center of that trigger guard, so when I put the lock in there, I don't have any problems. Any problems. Damn, that looks perfect. You know, it's lining up. Everything's lining up perfectly. Okay. So, I'll get my peg. Hopefully it's cooled off. Yes, I would have dropped that like a hot tamale, boy. And going to have to get these burrs off it, but that peg's pretty much going to go there. Pretty simple. That's where the peg's going to go. Right there. Okay, I just got done grinding the peg flat, and I put a little bevel all around it. You know what I'm saying? See that bevel? See how it's tapering? Welders know why I did that, but you guys that don't weld don't know. Because when you weld, it's going to go like this, and you want to have a bevel on there because you want it to be concaved a little so the weld can get in on an angle, and it makes it more strong and it fills it all up. I don't know if you know what I mean. I just can't explain it. There's the flower I was looking for. But there's the peg. Alright, it's time to get the welder ready. Mine's already set. I got my dial set. I'll show you how I have mine set for this kind of work. Seems to work really good. I have thing's so friggin' heavy. Oh man. I have it set on, I got the speed set in between 9 and 10, and I have the low switch on high and the number 1, number 2 switch on 2. So both of these switches are in the down position. The speed is between 9 and 10, and it seems to run perfect that way. Once you get that set and it runs good, leave it alone, because that's a real temperamental thing. Okay? So the next thing you got to do is hook up your ground wire. Your ground wire, if that's not hooked up right, you won't get proper spark. So, if whatever you're working on is painted, sometimes it don't matter, but sometimes if the paint's too thick, the ground won't get a good connection. I'm going to try it without grinding any paint off. So, this is my ground wire. This is attached to the welder. I'm just going to hook this up. You want to hook it to it, but make sure it's not in your way. So down here it'll be in my way. So I'll hook it up here somewhere. And that's metal on metal. Hopefully the paint's not too thick of an insulator that won't screw me up. I won't get spark. Next thing I'm going to do is clamp this bad boy down so it doesn't move on me. Okay, man, I gotta shim this table too. Everything needs to be solid, and yeah, I gotta shim that. You don't want to be messing with all that shit when you're trying to weld. When you weld, you have to be as most comfortable position you can possibly be. That'll make you weld better, less grinding. If you want to test your welder out before you weld, get yourself a couple plates of steel, keep them around, put a couple beads on the steel, make sure your welder's running okay before you put it on your project. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is, I got my pin all marked out. I'll show you, getting up close here with the soapstone. See that white circle? Sorry, I hit the off button because I'm a friggin' idiot. Alright, see that white circle right there? That's where the pin's going to go. I marked it. Okay, and that's called soapstone. That's what you want to use. That's what you use with metal work. And what I have is an 90-degree angle magnet that will hold this for me because I don't have any help. This is a magnet. You can get these anywhere. They're cheap, Harbor Freight. What I'll do is I'll put this on there, move it up to this, and this will hold it for me so I can at least tack it. So I'm going to push this right down and make sure I get it right in the center of that hole. Push down, and that's it. That's got it perfect for me. So what I'll do is I'll put a zap on this side, a zap on this side, then I'll take the magnet off and put a zap on the back. You gotta watch, because when you weld on one side, as it cools, it's going to want to pull the pin this way. Then when you weld on the other side, it's going to pull the pin the other way. So you gotta get some tacks around it to keep it from pulling left and right. I had to grind the paint off because I guess they had like a couple coats of paint on there and it was insulating the steel too much, so what a pain in the ass. I had to remark the whole thing. Should have did that to begin with, but I was being lazy, and that's why I am. That's why I am. Alright, let me clamp this down real quick and give it a little one of those, even that's too long. Just like that, and give it a zap. I'll zap over here. Okay, it's tacked on there. Now I know it's going to hold it pretty straight because of the magnet. But I think I'm safe. I can take that off now. And tack it over here. I got my air tool here. This is just a sample. I got this at Harbor Freight, and I don't use it a lot, but I use it pretty much. And it has this bit in there. See how it's shaped like a triangle? It's for detail filing and thing's really loud. Neighbors are going to hate this, but oh well. This is what you need when you're doing detail grinding, especially something like this. You don't want to screw it up. And in the background here, I got this Campbell air compressor. I got that at Harbor Freight, and it's oilless. You don't have to worry about oil in it, in case you guys know about air compressors. And it's a 30 gallon, I think. It's pretty cool. Alright, I'm going to start grinding this up and trying to get this thing looking halfway decent. I got it pretty smoothed out. It's not too bad. I've done a lot nicer work before this. It's been a long time messing around with metal. Now what I'm going to do is, since fucking phone, man, swear to Christ. No, I'm not answering it. Now what I'm going to do is just sand it, because it's going to be painted. So I want to try to sand it as much as I can, just to smooth it out a little. I mean, it don't have to be perfect. It's just a gun rack. But if I were someone like Jeremy and I was making these to sell them to people, you got to make them perfect. So that's the way I try to do everything. Alright, I got it all cleaned up. I got the Ridgeback rack. I taped that out with, you know, I didn't get in between all the crevices. Just taped it closely with see-through 3-inch packing tape. Because if you could see through it, you could see where to cut. And now, just going to, don't forget to wrap tape around this thread. You don't want paint getting on the threads. And the first thing I'm going to do, the first coat of paint I want to put is on the bare spots. Make sure I get a nice stream out of there. And just fog it. Now this paint's kind of spitting, so I'm going to have to switch to a different can. I'll do them spots first. It'll act like a primer, all the bare spots. Come over here and do the spot where I grinded the paint off. Alright, let that dry. And when that dries, once that dries, I'll go over the whole thing. Pretty much simple. You want to keep it about 12 inches away and just fog it. Don't get too close. You don't want no runs. The worst thing on a paint job is seeing runs. That's what makes it look like an amateur. It looks like crap. No sense in me showing you this. The next clip you'll see is us hanging it up on the wall. Alright, see it. Okay, it's all hung back up. I got the M4 on there, and it almost lines up with it perfectly. Not bad. I told you it wouldn't line up perfect because that original bracket, Ridgeback rack, is for a Mossberg 930. Alright, I'll show you what it looks like. Let me take the gun off the wall. Alright, there it is without the gun. There's the new peg. If you remember, it was in this position. We moved it to this position. The threads comes right through the trigger guard, right where they're supposed to. There's the Ridgeback rack logo. I taped it out, so we didn't want to erase that, the company's name. And that's it. Alright guys, just a little handy dandy video. Hope it helped you out. And I'll talk to you guys soon.